let's get right into it, okay? I don't know if my dad is disappointed that I'm gay. But I do know he's disappointed I don't like Bob Dylan. Yeah, you want to shatter a middle-aged white man's heart into a million pieces, just tell him, I don't care about the lyricism, Dad. I hate his stupid warbly goat voice. I hate it so much. Please, return this graphic tee to Urban Outfitters. I will not wear it. My tie, I keep borrowing my brother's. It's awkward. My mom is very supportive, right? Which is nice. But she didn't used to be. You know, I would want to tell her about dates with ladies, and it would make her a little uncomfortable, and it kind of upset me, you know. But now she's so great, and she wants to hear about all the dates, and I don't want to tell her. Okay, I made the mistake recently of telling her that I went on a date, and my mom, so cute, she was like, "Oh, how did the date go?" And I was so excited. I was like, "It was good. Yeah, it was good. It was a good date. Yeah, it was good. It was a good date. Yeah, she was nice. She was nice. She was really good. I don't know, Mom. She's polyamorous and into ropes. I don't know. Both of those things are awesome, but I don't think you want to hear about it. It's just, you know. By the way, I should specify that's bondage ropes, right? Could also be like a hopscotch, you know, jumping jack ropes champion or whatever, but we didn't talk about that, so not that I'm aware of. Yeah, both of those things are great. I do have to say, though, the latter thing, I have some potential concerns. Okay, hear me out, right? What if we go on a couple dates and things are going really well, one thing leads to another, we become an item, you know, and at some point, inevitably, we find we need to spice it up in the bedroom. Just where do you go from there? When the default is ghost pepper? Like, how much spicier can you get? I don't know. Maybe you have to physically change locations. Like maybe one of her other partners owns a boat. I don't know. She already knows a lot about knots, so it's the skills over. Is what I'm trying to say. I know, it's very silly. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a very vanilla person myself. Very vanilla. Which, hey, by the way, a little bit of historical knowledge here. Our modern conception of vanilla, the flavor, is actually an extract. Yeah, this is true. So the real thing, right, the old-timey vanilla, is actually a very powerful flavor. It's very intense. Incidentally, intense vanilla, my favorite sex position. That's one of my contacts. I mean, okay, I know I just, you know, implied that my mom was just as vanilla as me. But actually, she would probably be okay with all that stuff, if I'm honest. My mom is super French. She grew up in Paris in the 70s when she was my age. She's got some fun stories of her own, okay? This one time, I remember I was with her in the kitchen, and she was cooking dinner, and she had this beautiful look on her face. Oh, she was smiling so deeply, and I was like, Maman, what are you thinking? That's how you say mom in French. This is educational. Maman, what are you thinking of? Why do you have this beautiful look on your face? And she goes, oh, I was just thinking of this time. I was cooking with some friends. My friend Antoine, he took off his shirt. And my friend Marie, she took off her shirt. And my friend Joseph, he took off his shirt. And then I took off my shirt, and since we all had sex, it was good. Wait, what? Whoa, okay, cool, wait, back up. Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you were, you know, in Paris in the 70s and you got invited to a dinner party, it could become an orgy. Something that happened. Although maybe that's not a cultural thing, but a generational thing. You know, I just hope to one day have the relationship with my dad where he tells me about his orgies, but once he gets over the Bob Dylan thing. And that's another thing that in theory, okay with that, right? That being said, once again, I have some questions. If every time I went to a dinner party, it potentially became an orgy, namely, who's going to be there? Listen, I'm a comedian. A lot of my friends, regrettably, are straight men. And it just, you know, listen, I do not engage in the sexual relations with the men, but I'm not rude about it. Okay? You know? That's fine. Like, I can have sex next to a man. We can be beside each other, you know? That's fine. That's fine, but that's, you know, not all friends you have that level of friendship with, you know? Like, yes, Bob, I know we're good friends, but are we orgy adjacent? That's like ghost pepper level friendship. That's a pretty high level of friendship. So yes, the rumors are true. I am a big fan of the gay sex. They try to have it as often as possible. Frequently fail in that venture. Turns out a lot of women only into men. I agree, it's strange, but as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to kink shame anybody. So you do you. I will tell you a bit about the first time I engaged in sexual relations with a lady other than myself. It counts. It was real special, not because we were in love or anything bourgeois like that. See, I am French. No, what happened is I was at this party, right, and I started having an eyebrow-waggling sort of conversation with a lady. I was like, ooh, this is nice, this is fun. Next thing you know, we go up to a room, clothes come off, oh my god, awesome, yay, fun time. And I notice she has a piercing on the clitoris. Ah, that's fun. Yeah, very, very cool. Cool for her, that's awesome. But also, mostly, I thought, thoughtful, in case anyone had trouble finding it. Oh, there it is. A pin on the map. Lighthouse in a sea of ash. Very welcomed into the community, you know? Lovely lady. Yeah, it's all been downhill since. No kidding. No, it's great. I love being queer. There are some things about dating that are a little bit different when you're a queer lady. I don't know how many straight people are in the audience. I'm sorry if I insulted you earlier, straight men. But here's a fact, right? A lot of queer women really into astrology. So into astrology. I don't know, have you ever been broken up with and you're not sure if it's because your personalities didn't align or if because the stars didn't? The cosmos says we can't be together, okay. I dated this lady for several months. It was a fun time, and at some point, a couple months in, the conversation just happened naturally, right? Because we were talking about birthdays. And so she was like, I'm an Aquarius. How about you? And I was like, oh, I'm a Taurus, born in May. She's like, oh. I thought you were a Leo. This was devastating news. Just devastating. I don't know. I'm sorry, I wish my parents had slept at a different time when I got together, What can you say? Zodiac, I think it's fun. I do think it's fun. Sometimes it gets a little out of hand. I read an article. Well, I couldn't get past the headline, I'm going to be honest with you. I saw a headline that said 20 mother-son zodiac combinations that will be the perfect fit. I know, it freaked me out. I was like, what? What is that? What does that mean? It's very strange. strange, right? I don't know. I just picture someone really into that stuff who like discovered that article too late and then is devastated, like, oh no, me and Aiden don't match? Ah, what have I done? I'm sorry. It's also weirdly gendered. Like, is it different if it's a mother-daughter? I don't know. Whatever. It's very strange. It's very strange. I don't know. You know, sometimes we focus on the negatives of queerness, but I do, as I mentioned, I love being a gay lady. It's pretty great. I love Pride. Pride is awesome. Pride is wonderful. They do this cool thing, actually, right here in Cambridge. I don't know if you all have noticed this. During Pride Month, they paint the crosswalks rainbow colors. Yeah, it's cool, right? I love it. It's pretty neat. It's like the floor is lava for homophobes. And then you're whisked straight to hell by a pack of rabid, three-headed unicorns. And I'll be forced to make gay cakes for all eternity. You burn it every time. Such a terrible thing. I know, it's so fun. Speaking of weddings and cakes and things, I went to my cousin's bachelorette party recently. Great transition, I know. Thank you. It was a real fun time. We went to a strip club. It was a male strip club, because again, gay, but a team player. Touched a man's bare torso. I was like, okay, my job here is done. Slippery, that. Sweating a lot. My cousin got a lap dance from a man named Temptation. That's a Christian name. My favorite was Sodomy. Oh boy. So I used to be a bartender, which, by the way, tip your bartenders. Please do that. It's very important. I used to be a bartender, and I remember this one time I was coming home late from work. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. You know, it was pretty late because I had closed out the bar, right? And I was walking home, and this guy rolled up next to me in his car. Oh dear. Yeah. He rolled down his window, and he said, I hope you have a safe walk home. Yeah, it freaked me out too! I'm like, wow. And you know what? I know what happened. I get it. I think he was genuinely well-intentioned, right? Because this was right when Me Too was starting, you know, and I just picture this guy getting hyped up on Jezebel articles, you know. I'm gonna make a woman feel safe today! I'm so hard to figure out. He just doesn't quite know how to do it. I appreciate the effort, I do. You know, I don't know. Speaking of the men folk, again, killing it with the transitions. I know that there are a lot of superhero movies out there right now. The market's a little oversaturated. But personally, I am actually a really big fan. I think they're pretty neat. I think they present this wonderful fantasy world in which men get exposed to dangerous levels of toxicity. And it makes them better people. It's kind of nice. All I'm saying is Peter Parker has never sent an unsolicited dick pic, okay? And if he had, at least it would be nice because he's a photographer. That joke, if you didn't get it, was about a feminist concept called toxic masculinity. Maybe you've heard it, but you don't totally know what it means. Fear not, I shall explain it right now. Okay? It's actually pretty simple. Okay, here's all that it is. It's when you get bitten by a radioactive penis, and it turns you into a huge dick. Semester at Smith, you're welcome. Oh my goodness. You all have been so much fun. I think I'm probably nearing the end of my time here, right? So I just want to leave you with one more fun little joke. if that's all right with you all.
Yeah!
So, thank you. Great. I was going to do it anyway. But so one other thing about being queer that's fun is that you are statistically more likely to date someone with the same name, right? It's true. If you think about it. So far, has not happened to me. Here's why. This one time, some friends of mine tried to set me up with another Chloe. Let's call her Hot Chloe. Because that's what everyone else called her. It's okay, she's very good looking. I get it. It's definitely the Hot Chloe. When my friends were trying to, they were like, hey, you and Hot Chloe, you and Hot Chloe. I was like, guys, she's never me. What do you mean? You gotta give it a try. It's like, well, we met like 4 or 5 times, and she could never remember my name.